it on? Okay, hi everybody, good morning. Welcome to your first online lesson with Ms. Shuhada. Today our topic is topic 6, transport and flowering plants. Okay, so we are going to cover stuff on water and ion uptake and the main function of root hair cells basically. Okay, so what is our learning objective today? Our learning objective is to relate the structure and functions of the root hair cell to the surface area and to water and ion uptake. So whenever we talk about surface area, we're always referring to how much area is available so that absorption can take place. And how does this relate to actually its function of helping to absorb water and ion much more quicker. So yeah, we haven't achieved that, but we are going to try to achieve that. So let's review some concepts. Firstly, how do plants take in water? Second question, is there a proper word you should use when you describe the action of taking in water? Third question, what kind of processes would occur during the absorption of water? Fourth question, what features do the plants have that help them to actually do this? Okay, I'd like you guys to pause this video, and just like in those Dora the Explorer TV episodes, I want you to pause and think. Okay. So after you have done thinking, so I'm going to reveal the answers for you now. Okay. So how do plants take in water? You guys know that they do this via the roots because that is where water can be found. Is there a proper word you can use to describe the action of taking in water? And this word, I hope you guys got this right, is absorption. Absorption, and what kind of processes would take place in the absorption of water. So we're here thinking about actually movement of water. So if you guys remember your topic 2, molecules. Yep. So in topic 2, movement of molecules, we learned that water moves across a cell membrane via osmosis. However, if there is no partially permeable membrane, then water can actually move via diffusion. What features do plants have to help them to do this? So they do have the root, but specifically specialized cells called root hair cells. So this is the main character of the day. Okay, absorption of water takes place via both diffusion and osmosis. Firstly, diffusion. So this happens at the cell wall. This is because the cell wall is completely permeable. So simple diffusion will occur through the cellulose cell wall. That is how water first enters the root hair cell. And this is what we call the cell wall pathway. And then after the water enters by diffusion, water will then enter the vacuole using osmosis. This occurs at the cell membrane of the root hair cell because cell membrane is partially permeable. So this is a fact that you have to try to remember, is that outside of the root hair cell in the soil, it has higher water potential. So let's just recall what water potential actually refers to. It's the ability of water to move freely, and so we can assume that there is like lots and lots of water here as compared to over here in the vacuole, because vacuole contains like other substances as well. So I'm just going to write X's to represent other substances. So because there's higher water potential outside in the soil as compared to inside the vacuole, so it also because of the differences in concentration of water as well, firstly water will enter the cell wall via diffusion, simple diffusion, and then after it crosses the cell membrane and then bringing the water into the vacuole, because remember that the function of the vacuole is actually to store water and ions. Okay, so once after diffusion happens, we're going to have like this crossing here by osmosis. Oh my gosh, sorry, that keeps on happening. Okay. All right, so the cell sap or vacuole, so this is how we kind of explain it in terms of in words. If we are asked in exams, we say cell sap or the vacuole has relatively low water potential. So the soil water has a relatively higher water potential. Therefore, water will then move into the vacuole by osmosis. You have to mention by what process and from where to where. This is called the vacuolar pathway. So you have two processes when we're thinking about absorption of water. We have the cell wall pathway, which is via diffusion. And then we have the vacuolar pathway, which is via osmosis. Okay, so what kind of features help the root hair cell to do these things? Firstly, they have their root hair. So we have the long and narrow root hair. So this feature, if you guys can see, this is the root hair itself, and it is very narrow. It means that you can see that it's quite thin. So being narrow helps. Sorry, I can't like write and talk at the same time. Helps the root hair cells. Okay, so firstly, having this very long and narrow root hair, so having it narrow and long, it can reach in between soil particles to access water, oxygen, and minerals. Why did I mention oxygen? Is because, remember, all cells are living things, and one of the characteristics of living things is respiration. So to keep on doing its job, to get energy. Oh my god, my battery is low. Hold on. Okay. Are we good? Yeah, we good. All right. So where was I? Oh, to carry out its function, it needs energy. So just so you know, root hairs cells also help to absorb oxygen. Okay, so the other part about it being narrow, so talking about it being narrow is the fact that narrow root hair, meaning how thin it is actually. So like narrow as in thin as well. Reduces So what we mean by diffusion distances, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? So if you are here and you want to go from point A to point B, and then you also have point A to point C, clearly this is shorter. So it's faster for you to get from A to B than if you want to get from A to C. So having this very short distance gives it much more faster ability to let water to diffuse into the root hair through firstly diffusion into the cell wall, and then after that osmosis when it reaches the cell membrane, when water is finally entering the vacuole. Okay, this picture I kind of blocked it with my words, but I just wanted to show you guys that. So this is epidermis. So the epidermis is just the outer layer of the root, and you can see that it also has normal looking cells, and the root hair cell is just a very specialized looking cell. So remember your word, specialized cells. Specialized cells. It means that cells that have either gain or lost certain functions to adapt to their main function. Okay, now let's talk about why they want to do that. Why do they want to absorb minerals for? We know water is used for photosynthesis. Water also gives to keep the cells being turgid as well. That means that they have enough water giving them that shape, turgidity. But what of mineral ions? Why are they important? Firstly, nitrates. This is an ion that the root hair cell absorbs. It is used to make proteins needed for cell growth in plants. Phosphate is another mineral that's important for respiration and growth. Phosphate is also needed to make DNA and cell membranes. Potassium is another mineral ion, so please remember this. It's used for respiration and photosynthesis, needed to make enzymes in cell respiration and photosynthesis. Magnesium is, I think this is pretty familiar with you guys. We learned about this. Magnesium is needed to make chlorophyll because it is the central atom of chlorophyll, which is a green pigment needed to absorb light. So how do the root hair cells do this? They carry out active transport. So this is where the oxygen part is important. Remember that active transport is the movement of substances from a region of low concentration to a region of high concentration against a concentration gradient by the use of energy released from respiration. And respiration, you need a lot of oxygen to get a lot of energy. So ions needed for plant metabolism is in short supply in the soil water. So that means that there isn't a lot of minerals in soil water as compared to the concentration in the plants itself, because they need to keep these minerals. So remember just now it was nitrates. So I think we say NPK and Mg. Nitrates, potassium. Oh my gosh, what's K? Oh, that's potassium. What's P? Phosphates. Sorry, guys. Not a chemistry teacher here. Okay. Nitrates, phosphates, potassium, and magnesium. Okay, these are in short supply in soil water. Ions are absorbed via active transport then. Okay, so our learning objective was to relate the structure and functions of root hair cells to their surface area. We kind of talked about that a little bit. So what are the structures that we're looking at? You have the root hair cell. What structure is it? We say long and narrow. And what is their function? So the function of root hair cells is to absorb water and mineral ions. They also absorb oxygen, by the way. Sorry, handwriting is bad. Okay, the third part is the fact that the root hair cell is long plus narrow. It increases, we say it increases surface area to absorb these things. Okay, another thing is the fact that long and narrow also relates to the fact that it can go into soil in between soil particles to absorb or access all the water and minerals and ions, and the fact that they are narrow gives that shortened diffusion distance, so it's faster to absorb the water and ion. I guess that's pretty much it. I hope that this helps, and don't forget to try out the Go Formative exercise that comes after this. Have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you guys soon.